is the Nintendo Test Station, an extraordinarily simple yet sophisticated testing device for NES components.
With the test station, each element of the Nintendo game system can be tested in turn. Malfunctioning components can now be isolated for repair.
The test station consists of a TV monitor and a control base.
The control panel houses the test connections for game system components. AV cables, RF switch, the AC adapter, game cartridge, controllers and accessories, and the control deck.
A selector knob located in the center of the control panel switches between the tests.
Located on the front edge of the control panel are the power button, the reset button, and the AV RF button.
The TV monitor displays test information and allows you to test game cartridges. Let's get to work.
To power up the test station, move the selector switch to the AV cable test position and press the power button.
Make sure that the TV power is on, that the volume is audible, and that it's switched to channel 3. If there's an internal problem, the test station will tell you right away with this failure warning. If you see this display, you should call Nintendo's Field Service Department at 1-800-447-8373.
Here's the demonstration mode. You'll see this screen if the unit stays idle after powering up. To leave the demonstration mode and begin testing, press the reset button.
Before making any tests, you should do a thorough visual inspection of the components, checking for obvious signs of damage or contaminants.
Right. This controller may work, but it still should be replaced.
To begin the first test, a customer's AC adapter is plugged into the test station and the selector knob is switched to AC test. Remember, if the switch happens to be in that position already, simply push reset to begin the test.
The test screen will show a pass or fail. If it fails, an alarm will sound. That's all there is to it.
Right. Here's an important tip. Make sure that you wiggle the cables while running each test. That way, hidden flaws can be spotted. To test the RF switch, attach the 3 connectors to the test station and switch the selector to RF test. That clicking sound indicates the test is in operation. You also may see a horizontal white line appearing on the screen. If the RF switch is in working condition, the screen will alternate like this.
Right. But if the RF switch is defective, you'll see the picture alternate between clear and snowy. Or it will remain snowy.
Testing the AV cables is simple. The cables are simply inserted into the test station connectors. Move the selector knob to the AV test position.
The screen will indicate a pass or fail. Don't forget to wiggle the cables.
I won't. Let's move on to the game cartridge test. Before testing any game cartridge, inspect the contacts for foreign material.
Right. Any contaminants could cause game cartridge failure and could even damage the test station.
Before inserting or removing a game cartridge, shut off the power to the test station. Now insert the game cartridge into the test station with the label facing up.
Next, plug a test controller into the number 1 socket. Power up and switch the test selector to game cartridge test. If the switch is already there,
push reset.
Right.
The game graphics should look sharp and the gameplay sound should be audible and clear. You'll also need to play the game for a short while. I said a short while.
Sorry, I get carried away. Let's move on to the control deck test.
To set up the control deck for testing, first plug the AC adapter into the test station outlet and plug the jack into the customer's control deck. Switch the selector to control deck test, attach the RF cable and the AV cables between the test station and the control deck. Plug in the 2 controllers.
And make sure the channel selector switch on the back of the customer's deck is set to channel 3. Now insert the special NES test cartridge into the customer's control deck. Lock it down and turn on the control deck.
You'll see this screen. Use the Select button on controller number 1 to select Auto Test. This screen will appear, indicating pass or fail on 2 circuit chips in the control deck.
A fail indication means the control deck is defective. If both show pass, press A to continue.
This color block will now appear on the screen. Use the controller to move the object. It should remain solid at all times and be able to move in all directions.
Right. There should be no change in color and no missing or blinking characters. Any failure to perform indicates a faulty control deck.
If the deck passes this object test, press A to continue. This is the controller test. Press each one of the buttons on the control pad in turn. The indicators on the screen should go from white to green as the button is pressed, then to red, indicating that it's been tested.
Only the area being pressed should turn green, and all indicators should stay red after the test. If they don't, it's an indication of a defective control deck or faulty controllers.
Now on to the sound test. You may have to increase the volume setting on the TV. Press Start, and you'll hear this series of tones and words. If the sounds you hear don't match these, the control deck is defective. Test the sound with the AVRF button in both positions. Now, press A on the controller to continue.
You'll see the color test. There are 2 different color shades for each band shown on the screen. The test will automatically shift back and forth between them. All of the bands should have color. If they don't, the control deck is defective.
During the color test, press the AVRF switch in and out several times. The color pattern should appear on both settings. If a blank or a wavy screen appears on either setting, the control deck is defective.
That's it for the control deck. You can return to the menu by pressing the A button, and each one of the tests can be run individually if necessary.
So how about testing the controllers now?
How perfectly appropriate. To test any controller or accessory, first power down the test station, select the accessory test position, and plug in the component.
Let's start with the standard controller. You can do 2 of these, or 2 max controllers at the same time.
Now turn on the power. You'll see the accessory test menu. Use the Select button to highlight Controller Test and press the Start button. This will bring up the controller menu.
Use the Controller Select button to highlight Normal Controller Test and press Start. You'll see the controller test screen for 2 players. Now test the controller by pressing all the buttons and moving the control pad in all directions, one at a time. As each button is pressed, the screen indication will change from white to green. As you release each button, the indication turns red to show that button has been tested.
Any other indication means the controller is defective. Repeat the test for the second controller.
The max test is similar. First complete the hookup sequence, then press the turbo buttons one at a time. A bar graph will show the rate of the turbo. If it's in the red area, the controller is defective.
Next, test the other buttons in turn for proper function. Remember, only the area being tested should show green, and it should turn to red after the test. Any other indication and the controller is defective.
Let's check the advantage.
Good idea. Okay, power off. Selector knob on accessory test. Plug in the advantage.
The cable with the white stripe goes into socket number 1.
Right. Now, make sure the slow motion button is off, power up, and select the controller test. Now, move player select to player number 1. Press the A, B, start and select buttons, and move the joystick up, down, left, and right. Make sure the indicators light in the proper white, green, red sequence. If they don't,
You found a defective controller.
right. Now, turn both turbo knobs counterclockwise as far as they'll go. Press in the Turbo A switch to turn on the turbo. Now, hold down the A button and slowly turn the rate adjust knob clockwise as far as possible.
That bar graph shows the turbo rate. It should remain in the white area. If it falls within the red, The controller is
defective.
You catch on quick. Now, repeat the test for the B button. Finally, press the slow motion button. The Turbo S column should be steady and at maximum.
So, how do you test the player 2 position?
Easy. Switch the player select to player 2 and repeat the test. To test the zapper, first
turn off the power.
You've been paying attention. Make sure the selector switch is in the accessory position, plug a regular controller into socket number 1 and the zapper into socket number 2. Then power up, select the zapper test, and press start. Make sure that no bright lights are shining on the TV screen or the zapper itself. This can cause a properly functioning zapper to miss.
Now, aim the zapper at the target and pull the trigger. The target will spin and the screen will register a hit or a miss. Check the alignment of the zapper sensors by aiming down the sights. A hit should only register when the zapper is aimed directly at the target.
If the target won't spin after several tries, the zapper is faulty. But if it spins...
Ooh, nice shot! Then the zapper is functioning properly, and you should review the zapper setup procedure with your customer. Let's test the power pad. Power down the test station and hook up the controller and power pad.
Select the power pad test and press start. Next, lay the pad on a flat surface with the B side up. Press B on the controller, and then one at a time, press all of the dot areas.
The screen will show each dot being tested. Be sure that only the area being pressed shows black, and that it remains green after the test. Anything else and it's defective.
Now turn the pad over to the A side. Press the A button and repeat the test process.
This concludes video data transmission for the NES test station. For further information, please consult your test station operation manual. Ending transmission.